I think there's a huge difference, and I think the huge difference is psychologically. I think the kids over in the UK, Europe generally, are miles ahead. They're tougher mentally. They're in professional organisations from 10 and 11.
Right.
Their development process is much quicker than it is here. Youngsters like yourself gain confidence by winning. So I want us to start off positive.
Right? What it means, your technique has to be solid enough so that you could be one of the guys that allows us to win. Keep moving that football.
Midfield players, both sides of the game, getting forward and getting back. Make sure your passes are all right. My centre forwards, my wingers, you do not turn backwards. One against one, so we get chances, we get goals, we get opportunities. So we're thinking football. I would always ever go into the communities and give support financially, equipment wise and technical support for camps like Football Factory,
Right.
like your school down here, which I think is tremendous. There's got to be a bit more onus put on schools and academies like this,
Right.
because these are the schools that really are producing
Yeah.
top class young footballers that go on to do great things. Unfortunately, we don't get the support
Right.
from the TTFA or anyone else for that matter.
Right.
So it's always a task. It's always hard work. It's always where do we find the next dollars
Right.
to maintain your grounds, to get your kit
True.
and equipment, your new footballs every 2 or 3 months. So it's a challenge, but I think in the long run, I know the benefits that the guys get out of it is because they're working with good kids
Right. Exactly.
and enjoying what they're doing. And when you see the numbers turning out like we've had this morning,
Yeah.
that was fantastic for both clubs. I thought it was
Yeah. So a typical 13, 14-year-old Terry
Yeah.
in England who is a bright prospect.
great. Yeah.
What do you think is the difference between a player of that nature compared to the 12s and the 13s and the 14s that we have, that we may think, is a bright prospect? In other words, why is it our guys are struggling to break through, as opposed to a kid in a great club or a great setup in England?
I think there's a huge difference, and I think the huge difference is psychologically. I think the kids over in the UK, Europe generally, are miles ahead. They're tougher mentally. They're in professional organisations from 10 and 11.
Right.
Their development process is much quicker than it is here.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in kids will develop and they will be more confident when they win.
Mm-hmm.
And second best.
So there is definitely an emphasis on getting a result when the
Absolutely.
opportunity is there, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because a lot of people talk about there's this balance or this debate about is it really that important that they win at 9 and 10 and so on and so forth. I think personally, as it pertains to Trinidad, I think it's important that we instill a winning attitude in our guys, even at those younger age groups.
Absolutely.
Because maybe in Spain they're gonna have generations and generations of them.
Correct.
Here we may have 2 or 3 in a generation.
Absolutely.
So I listen to you talk with them, and that's something obviously you believe in. I mean, getting
Absolutely.
them sorted like that. Yeah.
So the balancing act is making sure they continue to enjoy that. Have my teams winning, because kids that are talented footballers will come on much quicker if they're in a winning environment and process. So I'm a big believer. I push my coaches. It's not good enough to come second. I want us to win wherever we can. I want it to be a consistent thing, and that in itself, I'm seeing great strides with the youngsters that we've got. I know we've got probably half a dozen here within our different age groups that'll go on to international football for Trinidad. But I saw it in both teams, because you do it. Listen, good footballers, and you were a good player, will recognise good players.
Exactly.
And we see it. It's then our job to encourage it, to develop it. And here in Trinidad, more than anywhere, there's got to be a steely side to it. So they recognise it's not simple, it's not easy, Aussie. It's a tough, hard profession where you need to have solid characters. You've got to build their character so they're not brittle. I think when they get to international level here, we still see in the national side some brittle characters. When 1-0 down, they crumble. We've got to have a bit more steel about us than that. And I think these types of programmes develop that. I don't know how you find it, Anthony, but I find it a challenge keeping kids that are 16, 17, 18 away from college league football here that I think's poor. The standard's poor. At that age, they must have figured out by that age, are they academic? Should they stay at school and go after their qualifications? If they're not, is football the way forward for them to get them a living after school? And we've got that all wrong. We've got 2 colleges today that have got kids that are 19, 20 competing in the college leagues. Where the kids do not go to school. They're not attending for anything academic at all. They're there just to win football matches. I can't agree with that.